Hello people, today is one of the talking videos, and the theme of today's video is why I hate school. So, my name is Miller Norris, I'm an entrepreneur, 18 years old, not going to college next year, and my goals are to travel the world and create an influence where I can actually feel accomplished in the fact that I changed something. So, this video is just going to be me talking to the camera. Hopefully it's not too boring. I'm going to try to involve some of my storytelling into it. Why I don't like school, some stories, like I said, some personal experiences that I've had with school, and yeah. So, school is great for many reasons. I'm not dismantling the importance of school, because school is very important for many reasons. Like the life skills that you get out of it, especially when you're young, is very, very important. So I'm definitely not putting school down, but I will certainly say that school, for some people like myself, is definitely not the best. And I'll be explaining that right now. So a little background: I was in the Spanish immersion program, and what that is from kindergarten all the way up until like high school, you're put in this program where everything that you learn, so science, math, even English, everything is done in Spanish. Everything. I remember the first day I got in there, and it was the first time that my school set up this program, right? First time ever. So it was kind of like a test. If it went well this year, it was going to go well the next year, and we were going to be in this program for a long time. And we had a teacher, and I walk in the door, and she says, "Hola, ¿qué tal?" That means hello, how are you? And I was like, I thought I was going to hate that place. I don't even know how I remember that, but I do remember that. I thought to myself, this is going to be fucking awful. So kindergarten goes by, first grade goes by, second grade goes by, yada, yada, yada. It's fun. Like, you know, when you're young, school's fun. You get to hang out with friends. There's no homework. There's really not much to get you in trouble and all this. Flash forward to now, I'm very, very, very grateful for Spanish immersion. That's probably one of the things I'm most grateful for. I'll go a little deeper into like the years with this program, but now, especially, I get to use my Spanish in situations that other kids don't, and it sets myself apart. Daniel Dolan, for example, for any of those who know Daniel Dolan, he's an entrepreneur. He lives in China. I think it's Hong Kong or something. But he's just like a white dude like me. Like, I'm white, blue eyes. No one would ever expect that I speak fluent Spanish with almost a near perfect accent. And it's the same thing with Daniel. He starts his videos speaking in a perfect English accent, and then he'll go to a factory in China where he gets his glasses made, and he'll start speaking Chinese, like, perfectly. And it's just, like, a huge, like, wow, like a mind boggler. And that's the same with me. People are like, holy crap. Today, for example, I went to Market Basket, line of people. I just look like any other person in that line. And then I say, hola, ¿qué tal? Un doble hamburguesa, un vagón, porfa. Like, you guys probably have no idea what I just said. But she was like, wow. So that's definitely something that, like, most people might be embarrassed about. Most people, I don't know what they would feel, but I am so, so, so grateful for that. Especially because I got to meet my friend Jaime, who connected me to the country of Spain, and that is where I go every year. I'm going there for 2 months, living there, so that's going to be a blast. I have friends that have turned into family. Again, I'm very grateful for this program. That's probably the one thing in this school system that I'm actually grateful for. 99% of everything else, I'm not. I'll get into that. So, Spanish immersion was different because we were with the same class the whole time when everyone else was making friends, okay? Every other kid was switching classes every year and making new friends, and we were staying with the same ones. So I had 2 kids, Felix and Travis, my best friends for a long, long time, in Spanish immersion. We had a really tight bond, and I don't really know if that had an effect on how I liked high school. But yeah, it was just hard because we didn't know anyone else, and we would go and kind of get mixed in with other kids in certain activities like recess, and the bus, and like field trips, and we'd be called Spanish kids, and we'd be called all these names and yada yada yada, and none of us liked that. None of us liked the fact that we were getting bullied to an extent, but we were in that program, and none of our parents were going to let us quit that program, so we kind of had to just suck it up. So the first time I ever got in trouble was first grade. I don't know how old first graders are, like 7 maybe. But I'm sitting in I specifically remember it. I'm sitting in the class and I'm fidgeting, just like with this, with like a hair elastic, just fidgeting with it, like going like this. Maybe I'm being distracting. I have no idea. I'm not paying attention to that. Not even now when I do stuff like that, I'm not even paying attention to that. But if I was being distracting, I could get that. She comes over. She grabs the elastic. Her name was Senora Reyes. She comes over and puts my hair. I used to have long hair. Puts my hair in a ponytail that was like sticking up to the sky. And she told me, don't touch it for the rest of the day. Like I said, we're in the same class for the whole day, 6 hours. So she said, don't touch it for the rest of the day or you're going to the office. I have to sit with a ponytail, not at the back of my head, not even at the front, at the top of my head sticking out, all my hair. That was so embarrassing, so incredibly embarrassing. But I had to just suck it up and not touch it. And it was so hard for me not to, but I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I don't know. But that was the first time I really got in trouble for doing something that wasn't really in my control. I get home and mom and dad start talking about how in school things like this happen, where there's a set way that you have to act. And if you don't act this way, people get mad. Right? It's not the teacher's rules necessarily, it's the school's rules, it's the system's rules. And that was when I kind of started questioning everything. I've always questioned everything, but that's when I've started to question authority. I don't know what it is with me in questioning authority, but it's just my nature. I've always questioned a teacher on something that I think is stupid. I'm always firm on my beliefs, and I'm pretty stern. It's pretty hard to change how I think. Actually, I take that back. My mind can change very quickly, but something that I think is stupid or silly, my mind is very firm and I'm very stern on that. So, with that, every single time I would get in trouble, like when I was probably 3rd grade to 6th grade, I would get in trouble. A major thing that happens probably twice a year, like a major, like suspension hearing and everything. But like miniature level of like getting in trouble probably 7-8 times a year. Every single time that happened, it was all because like those miniature things, it was all because I questioned the authority, the higher power. If I can think of any examples, I don't know. 6th grade one time, my friend and I went to the health room and we were getting these papers. We had art class and we were late to art class, and we went to the health room to get these papers and bring them back to art. We didn't check in with the art teacher at all. We thought it was fine because the art teacher was chill, Mr. Parham. And we come back like 3 minutes late and he says, you can't be late again. And we thought that was it. And then we get sent down to the office later in the day, and Mr. Costello, our principal, that I had clashed with, I beefed with, he was looking at the cameras at us and screaming, what are you guys doing? You guys were roaming the hallways when you shouldn't be, blah, blah, blah. And I was calm. Whenever I'm in trouble, I don't freak out. I don't freak out in any way possible. And we were in the hallways, and he was pointing at us on the camera, showing us what we're doing. He's like, what were you guys thinking? And I questioned him. And I said, I don't understand why this is such a big deal. We were just getting our papers. This is so stupid. Right? He went berserk. Like, he flipped out on me. My parents were involved. More teachers were involved. It was a huge thing from that one sentence. And I don't know. Every time that happens and I get in trouble, teachers and principals and faculty want me to get in trouble, so I learn my lesson, so I never question authority again. I know I've said that a million times, but that's the truth. What they want is for me to learn my lesson, when I can't learn my lesson, when that's my nature. That's everything I've always been about. That's just who I am. And trying to change me for who I am, that's never going to work no matter what punishment is, what the punishment is. So with that, I've kind of just been getting in trouble every year. And I see that in some of my peers where like, we'll just be doing something and then they're overthinkers. So they'll think much more than they need to on something. And then when authority steps in and says you can't do this, they're always shying away. not wanting to do something when I would just want to jump in and do it no matter what. It's 99% of the reason why I get in trouble in school and why I have always been in trouble every single week. So that's my problem with school. School's never adapted towards me. Never, ever. It's never been in my favor. People laugh and people, poke at me because they say, like, I'm always trying to act out and always trying to get attention in some way. Some people call it attention. Some people call it I'm just trying to get yelled at on purpose. I don't know what it is, but I'm always getting yelled at, and people laugh because there's this meme that's like that one bro that says he's being targeted, and it's like him standing on the table and whatnot. I do that to some extent. Like, I do funny shit because school is so horrible for me that I do as much funny shit as possible, not to get laughs may help obviously, not to get attention, but to make it funnier for myself so I enjoy it more, right? Things are happening all the time in school that just make it so shit every single day, and when I'm getting in trouble and me and my friend are in the office getting yelled at, me laughing is not a form of disrespect. It's a way of me easing the situation for myself because I hate the position I'm in so much that I just laugh to make it easier for myself. So yeah, that's been me for my whole life in high school. I've been laughing to try to make the time go by. I remember there's a substitute teacher one time in 6th grade for my history class, and my friend Will was egging me on, like, mess with this guy. And then I full on go up, and he's a substitute teacher. It's like his second day. He's like 6 years old. And he tells me something like, go sit down. And I go to his desk in front of the whole class, and I put my hand on his head, and I ruffle up his hair. I'm in 6th grade, and I do that. That was like some of the most trouble I've ever been in. He is fucking pissed. He goes to the principal. The principal has a huge suspension hearing for me. Says I can't do recess for 2 weeks when a kid like me depends on recess. If I don't have my recess, I'm gonna fucking die. So I don't know. It was like shit like that has always happened to me, where I've just always questioned authority because that's just who I am. I always question the higher power. Again, I don't know why. It's just my human nature. So with that, school's never, ever, ever adapted towards me. It's never adapted to help me. Going back to the point, like I said earlier, why would it help me when I'm not the average student, right? It's cheaper and more efficient to just have a stringent schedule and program that you run on for the past 100 years, decades and decades and decades ago. The same system was in place with different gadgets. That's what I like to say, right? Chalkboard back then, but we got a whiteboard now. Is it the same classroom with the same things being taught with the same way people are supposed to behave? Yep. But we have different things now. We have cell phones, we have computers, we have a digital aspect of our life that kind of changes things up in the classroom, but the dynamic of how the class should be taught has always stayed the same. So why would they ever change it? And that's kind of what I wanted to make this video about, because my end goal, for those who don't know, I wrote a children's book on how to make money. I ran a children's camp with my cousin on teaching kids money skills and speaking Spanish. I have taught kids from all around the world business. I create content based on business. I travel based on business. Multiple things that I do because of business. And school has never, ever, ever, ever been a part of anything I ever want to do in the future. So, again, it's definitely takes more energy for schools to come up with a new program for kids. That would take a lot of time and energy and effort and powerful minds coming together to create another type of program, another type of schedule. But my goal is to kind of start changing it, right? Money is never taught, especially at a young age in school. Back then, there was barely any business classes in a regular public high school. And now we got 17. People are getting more and more interested in learning about money and being financially independent because social media really boosts these people. There's probably 1% of people that actually make something worth of their business, right? 1%. And that 1% with those funds and with that time are going to brag, obviously, like every other human being would, and they're going to go on Instagram and post it. So that's what everyone's seeing. Everyone's seeing the glamorous watches flexing with the Bugatti. And if you're not seeing that, then you're seeing happy travel videos and you're seeing all the positives, when 99% of social media that should be there that is never posted is the negatives, right? I was just talking to a kid about this today. There's so many negatives that are never shown, like failing, making your first dollar. No one ever talks about making your first dollar. Everyone says how I made my first 100,000 or 10,000. All these big steps that are positive steps. No one ever talks about the negative steps. So again, we always see the positives and none of us see the negatives, and that's one of the biggest problems with social media. But it never, ever, ever helps in trying to find a way to be very successful, because you're going to fail and you're going to get shut down. And schools don't really teach that. In a way they do, because like you get a bad grade-ish, and then that you have to suffer those consequences. But it's all in one super strict, stringent program that's been, again, run for the same hundreds of years, where you're not really allowed to question authority. So my end goal isn't to, run into school and be like, here's the new program. Eventually, hopefully. But my goal for right now is to start changing the way education runs. Like I said before, businesses and business classes are getting way more popular today because more people are generally interested in the subject. That's a good start for school. I love to see it. Back in the day, you barely had any business classes at your normal public school, and now you have like 10. That's perfect. I love that. How can we be more adaptive and get the stupid shit out, right? When I question authority and I say to my teachers, why are we learning the same stupid shit that we're never going to use in our lives? And they say, because A, you might use it in your life, when that's bullshit, and because probably 1% of the whole class is going to be a history teacher, and B, the second reason they say is it's good to memorize and to learn how to study so you can get ready for college. That's a whole nother thing. I talked about that a little last talking video, about college and the job life and everything like that. But those two reasons are the most bullshit things I've ever heard in my life, right? My comeback to that is, why don't we just learn to memorize for like 3 years? Why are we learning to memorize for 12, 13 years of our lives in school? When you go to a trade school and these kids in high school are doing so much more with their lives than a random public schooler. Because the school's actually giving them a program to help them make money, learn a new trade, go out and start a business. Like, it's an adaptive schooling system. It's fucking perfect. But then you get public school kids learning memorization of factorization on James Noble Park, whoever the fuck, on how he sat on a bench and wrote poetry, and they're going to read those stories for the rest of the year. We're going to read one of his poems for this year, and then you're going to make a poem at the end of the year. All of it is bullshit. All of it is bullshit. And someone may be watching this and say, Miller, I don't think this is bullshit, but in my opinion, it's all bullshit. It's just an outdated system that needs to be changed, and my goal with everything I've been doing, like I mentioned earlier, is to start changing that. Start changing that. I'm going to regret it. If I start changing that at 60 years old, I'm going to regret it. If I start changing that at 60 years old, that's going to be such a big regret. Because I'm going to be like, I had 60 years of time, or 50 years of time that I could have used to start something big. And I'm going to be 60 years old, sitting on my couch, fat as shit probably. And that's the opposite of what anyone wants, really. No one wants to be unhappy, unhealthy, and feel unaccomplished when they get to that age. So that's exactly why I'm starting now. Would I wish I started when I was 10? 100%. But that's not where we are now. And we have to accept what we have at our position. And this is where I am. So I kind of went on a rant. Who knows how I'm going to edit that up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's what I think about school. I think it's outdated as shit. I think, obviously the common stuff, maybe you learned something about me. I'm posting these videos just to post something, because these take 10 minutes to film, 10 minutes to edit, and I have time for them. It's currently 1 a.m. right now. So I got to hit the sheets. I cannot pull another all-nighter, but I hope you guys like this. Just trying to put as much content out there as possible. grow a brand before I go big. So people that watched, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out my channel for vlogs, travel content, you know, cool shots, inspiration. Reach out to me if you have any questions, want to connect. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.